If I were in love with her, a reflection on love and identity. If I were in love with her, my life would undoubtedly feel different, more vibrant, more alive. I imagine the simple joys, sharing quiet moments and holding hands as we stroll through the park. The connection between two women brings a certain kind of intimacy that transcends mere physical attraction. It's about a profound understanding of each other. Being in love with another woman opens up a world of shared experiences. We'd laugh together over our thoughts on beauty and femininity, how we feel about our bodies, and the uniqueness of being women in a society that often marginalizes us. The moments of connection, like kisses that linger, soft whispers in the dark, would be filled with understanding and warmth. I can picture us navigating the complexities of intimacy, where vulnerability is met with acceptance. It's a different dynamic where our bodies can be celebrated together without the weight of societal expectations. There's a comforting thought in knowing that I wouldn't have to worry about traditional norms. I'd share those experiences with someone who knows what it means to navigate the world as a woman. Conversations would flow effortlessly, sharing feelings and desires openly. There would be no fear of judgment, only a safe space where we could explore our innermost thoughts. We'd have our inside jokes, our shared interests, from favorite bands to our unquenchable love for chocolate. I envision shopping trips not defined by awkward encounters but filled with delight. Whether we picked out dresses or matching outfits, there would be a sharing of style and identity that would connect us even more deeply. Our lives would be intertwined, marked by tenderness and laughter, an adventure solely ours. Life might not always be simple. There would be challenges, as with any love story, but navigating them together would enrich our connection. Being in love with her could bring difficulties, but love, in its purest form, can serve as a guide through them. In this imagined life, if I were in love with her, every glance, every touch, would speak volumes. It wouldn't just be about the romance, it's about embracing the beauty of who we are, celebrating our identities together, and finding strength in our love. It's the notion of seeing myself in her, of knowing that in our journey together, we'd rejoice in the power of being ourselves, authentic, unapologetic, and in love. As the weeks turned into months, the bond between us deepened in ways I never expected. Each evening, after the day's hustle and bustle ended, we would find ourselves lost in conversation, sipping tea on the couch, sharing stories from our childhoods, our hopes for the future, and the small moments that made us laugh. It was during one of those cozy nights that she turned to me with a twinkle in her eye. "You know," she said, "I never really believed in soulmates until I met you. It's like we've known each other forever." Her words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, and I couldn't help but smile. I felt the same way. There was a sense of familiarity in our relationship that transcended time and space. Our love began to blossom beyond the confines of our home. We embarked on adventures together, weekend road trips to nearby towns, exploring local art galleries, and enjoying lazy afternoons at parks. We'd often fall into the same rhythm, our conversations dancing between the serious and the silly. I cherished those moments when we'd simply laugh until our sides hurt, our laughter echoing around us as if the world was celebrating with us. One chilly autumn afternoon, we ventured to a local pumpkin festival. The air was crisp, and the vibrant colors of the leaves created a beautiful backdrop for our outing. As we wandered through the rows of pumpkins, picking out the perfect one to carve, she paused and took my hand, pulling me closer. "Can you believe how lucky we are?" she asked, her breath visible in the cold air. "It feels like a dream." "It really does," I replied, my heart swelling with gratitude. I felt an overwhelming sense of freedom being with her. At that moment, I realized that I was no longer just imagining what it would be like to love a woman, I was living it. As the days turned into seasons, we faced our share of challenges too. The world outside our cozy bubble was not always accepting. Sometimes we'd encounter stares or whispers when we walked hand in hand, and while it was disheartening, we learned to lean on each other for support. We became each other's safe haven, where we could express our fears and frustrations without judgment. One particularly challenging evening, after a long day filled with uncertainty and negativity from others, we sat on our balcony under the stars. I could see the worry etched on her face. "Why does it matter to them?" she mused, frustration lacing her voice. Why can't they just let us be happy? I took a deep breath, trying to formulate the right words. We can't change how others see us, but we can choose how we respond. Our love is valid and beautiful, and that's all that truly matters. She looked at me with a newfound determination in her gaze. You're right. As long as we have each other, we can face anything. In that moment, I reaffirmed how strong our connection was and how love could empower us. We shared a quiet understanding that while we might face challenges, we were in it together, and that made everything feel possible. With time, our social circles began to expand. We met other couples like us, many of whom had their own journeys and stories of love. These friendships became a vital support network. Together, we celebrated Pride events, attended workshops, and joined rallies advocating for LGBTQ+ rights. Each experience further solidified our bond, painting our relationship with vibrant colors of community and activism. And as I looked at her, my partner, my love, my best friend, I couldn't help but think of all the ways my life had transformed since we found each other. There was a certainty in our connection that fueled my spirit. It was a love that challenged me, uplifted me, and made me fiercely proud of who I was. Every moment spent together felt like a step forward in a beautiful journey, one filled with laughter, support, and unwavering love. And I knew this was just the beginning of our story. It was a story yet to be written, filled with dreams, adventures, and the thrilling unknown that came with being in love. As the weeks flowed into months, the foundation of our love only strengthened. We celebrated each small milestone, a year together, our first holiday spent with each other's families, and even the everyday moments that felt like quiet victories. Each time I looked at her, I saw not only my partner but also a kindred spirit who navigated the complexities of life with grace and humor. One evening, as winter approached, we planned a cozy night in. The living room was filled with the warm glow of fairy lights strung across the window and the aroma of fresh-baked cookies wafting through the air. We sprawled on the couch, wrapped in a shared blanket, watching our favorite movies and playfully critiquing every scene. In the midst of our laughter, she turned to me with a serious expression. "Can we talk about something important?" My heart skipped a beat. I nodded, curiosity edging my anxiety. "Of course. What's on your mind?" "I've been thinking about us, about what our future looks like," she began, her eyes searching mine. "What if we took the next step? What if we talked about building a life together?" The air thickened with possibility. "Like moving in together? Or something more?" I asked, a mix of excitement and nervousness bubbling up inside me. She smiled softly, a hint of vulnerability flashing across her face. "Both, maybe. I love what we have, and I can't imagine my life without you. I want us to be out in the world together, to build a home that reflects us." Tears pricked at my eyes as her words sunk in. The thought of us entwined in every aspect of life felt so right. "I want that too," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "I can see it, our home filled with laughter and love, a place that's truly ours." That night, we began to sketch out plans for the future, dreaming together with the lightness of those first days of falling in love. We talked about the colors we'd choose for the walls, how we'd mix our favorite decor styles, and what kind of plants we'd keep to liven up our space. It felt both exhilarating and terrifying, like standing on the brink of a vast, uncharted ocean. Our commitment only blossomed from there. We spent the next few weeks exploring neighborhoods, searching for the perfect apartment. Each place became a canvas for our imagination, a chance to envision our lives together. One chilly afternoon, we stumbled upon an old building with character, large windows that let in the sunlight, wooden floors that creaked with stories, and a small balcony that begged for pots of flowers. "This could be it," I whispered, feeling the thrill of possibility wash over me. As we turned to each other, we both wore that unmistakable look, the realization that we had found our little piece of the world. Moving day arrived filled with excitement and frantic energy. Packing up her belongings, we laughed over the chaos of mismatched boxes and the challenge of figuring out how to fit everything into our new space. Friends came to help, and the apartment soon buzzed with camaraderie and friendship, turning boxes into laughter, snacks, and shared stories. Once the dust settled and the boxes were stacked in haphazard piles, we took a moment to breathe. Standing in the middle of our new home, I reached for her hand. "This is ours," I said, feeling a mix of disbelief and joy. "Can you believe it?" Her eyes sparkled with happiness as she squeezed my hand. I've never been more certain about anything in my life. The months that followed were a whirlwind of new experiences together. We created traditions around cooking dinner on Sundays, hosting movie nights with friends, or having quiet mornings wrapped in each other's arms with coffee in hand. We painted, decorated, and turned the ordinary into extraordinary, all while weaving our lives together seamlessly. Yet, even within this blissful cocoon, we faced the complexities of life. We encountered moments of stress, work challenges, family dynamics, and the pressures of everyday obligations. Those were the moments that tested our strength, but often, they became opportunities for deeper connection. We learned how to communicate openly, not shying away from tough conversations. Each disagreement, each vulnerability shared, ultimately brought us closer. One night, the world outside the window was blanketed in a winter storm. As we settled onto the couch with blankets piled high, I sensed the weight of something unresolved lurking between us. I turned to her, hugging a pillow to my chest. "Hey, can we talk? I feel like we've been avoiding something." She nodded, concern flickering across her face. "Yeah, I've felt it too." As we opened that door into deeper conversations, we navigated through insecurities and dreams, fears and hopes. It was in those discussions that we reaffirmed our commitment to support one another through every high and low. "I know we'll face challenges," she said softly, her fingers intertwining with mine. "But I want you to know I'm in this for the long haul. You mean everything to me." With those words, the tension melted away, replaced by an unshakable sense of unity. We had chosen each other, not just for the good times but for the relationship that required unwavering dedication, patience, and love. With each passing day, our shared life began to take shape, a tapestry woven from experiences, laughter, and even tears. We were no longer just two individuals, we were partners, builders of a shared future, and, most importantly, a home filled with love. And so, our story continued. Each chapter unfolded like a new adventure, rich with the promise of growth and an ever-deepening bond. Hand in hand, heart to heart, we embraced the beautiful journey that lay ahead, confident in our love and the life we were creating together. The sun had begun to set one late spring evening, casting a golden glow across our living room as I sat on the couch, sifting through a box of old photos. With each picture I pulled out, I was transported back to cherished moments, childhood birthdays, family vacations, and transient snapshots of friends, all layered with stories that shaped who I was. "What are you doing over there?" she called from the kitchen, where she was attempting to make a fancy dinner, a new recipe I had suggested. The enticing aroma of herbs and spices wafted through the air, mixing with our laughter and chatter. "Just going down memory lane," I replied, holding up a photo of me as a child, beaming with a cake in front of me. "Look at this little disaster." I was covered in frosting from head to toe. She laughed, leaning against the doorframe with a playful smirk. And that little disaster turned into one very charming adult. The warmth in her voice filled the room with affection, and I felt a rush of love for her. In that moment, amidst the simplicity of our evening, I felt so grateful. We had built a life that resonated with joy and comfort. I waved her over, and as she joined me on the couch, I chose a photo that captured us together, one from a spontaneous road trip, the sun blazing down on us, hair tousled by the wind and smiles wide as we sang along to our favorite songs. "Here's my favorite," I said, stopping the flick through memories. This day felt like pure magic. She leaned closer, her head resting on my shoulder. It was perfect, wasn't it? Just us and the open road. As the evening went on, we shared stories tied to each photo, laughter mingling with nostalgia until twilight enveloped the room. As the light faded, the windows glowed with the remnants of sunlight, reminding us how fortunate we were to have each other. That night felt pivotal. There was a sense, whispering in the air, that we were standing at the precipice of the next chapter in our lives. After cleaning up from dinner, we settled onto the balcony to enjoy the cool evening breeze, a glass of wine in hand. The stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas. "Can I ask you something?" she said, breaking the comfortable silence that had fallen between us. "Of course. What's on your mind? What do you envision for us in the next few years? Where do you see us going?" I took a moment to contemplate the question. My heart raced at the possibilities that floated through my mind. I see us continuing to grow, together, as partners. I want us to explore new places, but also find deeper roots here, perhaps even consider starting a family one day. Her eyes sparkled with clarity, and I could almost see the gears turning in her mind. "I've thought about that, too," she said softly, her voice steady. "What if we begin to take steps towards that? We could attend workshops, talk to people who have been through it." The excitement bubbled in my chest as I realized how aligned we were in our hopes for the future. "Yes. Let's dive in together, fearlessly." As our conversation continued, we outlined a vision for the future, one that was filled with intention, love, and the adventure of navigating life hand in hand. It became clear that we were ready to embrace everything life had to offer, together. In the weeks that followed, our newfound eagerness translated into action. We began researching family planning options, attending community workshops that explored parenting within LGBTQ+ relationships, and even met with couples from our newly formed network who shared their stories and experiences. Each step brought us closer, reinforcing our partnership and further deepening our connection. As summer arrived, we filled our weekends with camping trips, visits to local farmers markets, and laughter that rang through our open windows. We created rituals that honored our love, cooking together, dancing in the kitchen, and taking long walks, talking about everything and nothing all at once. One beautiful afternoon, as we lounged in our favorite spot at the park, she turned to me with a serious expression. "I need to ask you something." My heart raced. "What is it?" With a slightly nervous smile, she pulled out a small box from her backpack. "I know we've talked about our future, and I believe it's a beautiful journey ahead of us. I want to take the next step with you and ask, will you marry me?" Time seemed to stand still. Her voice echoed soft and sincere, and I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Overwhelmed with emotion, I nodded, tears springing to my eyes. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." She opened the box, revealing a delicate ring that sparkled in the sunlight. It was simple yet elegant, a reflection of our love. As she slipped it onto my finger, I felt that familiar thrill of inevitability. This was right. With a joyous laugh, we embraced, and in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of the sun and the laughter of those around us, I knew we had entered a new chapter, one filled with promise, partnership, and the radiant love we had built together. Our journey didn't end there, it blossomed. With family and friends gathered around us years later, we stood hand in hand, ready to take our vows. As I looked into her eyes, I saw a lifetime reflected back, a tapestry woven from love, challenge, and unwavering commitment. And so, as we exchanged our vows, I couldn't help but smile, knowing that together, we would continue to navigate stormy seas and calm waters alike, our love a guiding light no matter where our journey led us. We walked into the future together, hearts intertwined, ready to embrace all the beauty life would bring. And in that moment, our love story, ever evolving, felt like an infinite adventure waiting to unfold.